So, just so that you're comfortable, before I turn on my tape recorder, this is a little script, who I'm interviewing, who's all here, okay? We have Sgt Hollis, who works Internal Affairs.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
We have Officer Gassaway, and
you can close that door a little bit if you want.
and Officer
folks
Sullivan.
don't get in.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what are your names again? I got distracted.
Sullivan,
Yeah. Okay, and what do you guys do?
They're patrol.
You're patrol. So,
You don't. I'm here. I'm asking questions.
I'm asking questions about the people in my home.
Okay. They're here, okay, because generally we do the interviews at 750 East Long Street at Internal Affairs, correct?
You work there, so you would know.
Well, you read the SOP.
Well,
so
it says it doesn't specify that it's.
it says preferably, so.
Well, we can look at it specifically.
Well, no, we don't. That's what it says. Okay, you can refer to
Well,
it
I've
later.
been told that's what it says
Okay,
on
so-
several occasions, and that's not what it says.
So you don't need to interview the officers that I brought with me.
Well, you
okay?
introduced them, so I'd like
Yes.
to know who they are.
We back on point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta ask you these questions, okay? And then, are you giving this statement freely and voluntarily?
Yep.
And then I have my questions that I have for you, depending on what you tell me, okay? And then we have these concluding questions, okay? And so I brought with me, okay, just so that you're aware, this is the complaint narrative that the Internal Affairs intake desk prepares, okay?
So the narrative that they prepare is
It's
not
intake.
my actual
It's a
complaint.
summary of.
It's a summary
summary.
of what I had actually written. Do you get a full copy of what I've actually written?
Hold on.
He's getting there.
Okay.
This is a copy of Sergeant Van Dock's investigation. This is another complaint narrative, or his complaint narrative that he did with that investigation, okay?
That's actually my original complaint
Yes.
that I submitted.
And then I have a copy of your complaint form that you completed and sent in, okay?
Which is what you've shown there, but your version.
Correct.
I'm specifying it for the camera just so you guys know, since you're not showing the documents.
And then I got emails that you sent to me with the attachments.
Okay, just the two, correct?
Correct. And then, because I couldn't find the Google Drive, and I didn't know if it was relevant because of our first conversation, you said it was relevant. You sent it to Sergeant Rose.
Yeah, and you should have it in White's docs as well, because I sent it to White's and I
I'm
sent
not
it to Van
interviewing.
Dop.
I'm not interviewing.
Well, Van
I'm
Dop
not
has it as
investigating
well.
White.
Van Dop has it as well. Again, these are carryovers, so a lot of the documents are the same
But-
documents.
So I had him, Sergeant Rose, forward to me your Google Drive, and I downloaded the two files. Okay.
Well, there's more than two files on the Google Drive.
No,
Which two did
meaning-
you download?
Sir, meaning one said 00.1, one said 00.2. First
They're
one
only
was
visible if you
1.6
log into
gigabytes, and the other one was 1.1 gigabytes.
And when I copy it, I have to be careful.
I'm not going to print out all those documents. I'm not going to attach all those videos and whatnot.
So
I perused
maybe
through
if I
them
send
So,
it on Messenger,
what we're
that's
doing-
the easiest way.
so I can stay on
And
track,
I'm
sir.
gonna send it
So I have perused those documents, okay?
to my.
And I will go into further detail if they're relevant. Review those if you tell me that something is relevant regarding that, okay? And then, so I think you sent 4 emails to Sergeant Rose, and then also got the copy of the SOP that you had highlighted certain sections. So I brought with me documents other than the Google Drive that if you reference something, I will know what you're talking about, and we can be on the same page. Okay?
Sure. Now, those two downloads that you made that you said were those, I'd like to know what they are, because the file, the Google Drive I actually sent, had several zip files and
Yes,
loose leaf videos.
yes,
So I
yes.
don't know what you're referring to when
Well,
you
well
say
then I don't know. Okay, you're splitting hairs. I told you the one was 1.6. I believe the other one was 1.2.
Do you know the size of the files that you
Yes.
upload to your hard drive at home? If someone said I had downloaded the 1.5
Would you like to?
gigabytes.
Would you like to continue, sir?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, so I'm gonna start the interview. If you get off track and you don't want to get back on and focus on Sergeant Van Dopp, I'm gonna conclude the interview and I'm gonna leave. Okay, I want to do a thorough investigation. I want to, if you have very important, pertinent information, I want to take that information. I want to analyze it. I want to do a thorough investigation for you and for Sergeant
And
Van
I'd
Dopp.
appreciate that.
Okay, so the best way I can do that is by keeping you on track. Okay?
Continue. I will warn you that I do have slight ADD, so I will hear the things on your radio and think about them occasionally, if you want to keep me on track.
Now he'll get you back on track.
I was just playing. I don't need to be caught on track.
I
I was an insurance adjuster for 5 years, so recorded statements and interviews are something I did for 5 years, in person, by telephone. And I specifically reviewed specific documents, especially, that's why I can say, when someone tells me the SOP says this, and I go to that part of the SOP, and it does not say that, which is why I live broadcast and share screen. Did you look at the share screen of our conversation where we talked about the specific SOP guidelines that were misquoted?
I have those files. I have not fully reviewed them.
Right, and that's one
But I
reason
will
why I
fully-
wanted you
but I
to do
will-
it ahead of
I
time.
will.
And I know you said a little upset that I sent you 2 emails that day. The first one was Van Dopp's complaint.
Okay, but we'll cover that.
Okay, we can continue that.
The following will be the administrative interview of Mr. Robert Luss. Reference complaint of Mr. Luss. IAB database number 202109-1037. This interview is being conducted at his residence, 1298 Studer Avenue, on October 22nd, 2021, commencing at 9:50 a.m. Present during the interview are officers Gassaway and Sullivan, Sergeant Kerry Hollis, Sergeant Ty Hollis, Mr. Lust, and asking the questions will be Sergeant Ty Hollis. Sir, can you state your name, address?
Robert Lust, L-U-S-T, 1298 Studer Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43206.
Can you give me your telephone number and your date of birth?
740-258-4866, 04-14-84.
And what is your date of birth? I'm sorry. Where are you employed?
I currently run a social justice website where I mix in comedy, philosophy, and learning. I also have a rental property, and I have been living off of my investments that I've made for the last 25 years of working. I'm sorry, 30 years of working? Oh, no, 35. 25.
Now, are you giving this statement freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
I have to read this information to you regarding false complaints in case you're not aware of the state law. The Division of Police is committed to investigating concerns of employee misconduct. Officers can be targets of false complaints by people who seek revenge on them by doing their job. So you read that part, sir?
I'm just showing that you sent me that documentation.
Were you aware of that section?
I am aware of that section. They bring it up quite
Okay,
a
so
lot.
I don't need to continue.
No, you can skip it.
Okay.
Unless it's part of your process and something you have to do, in which case I
Okay.
would suggest that you do your legal guidelines.
Okay, thank you. The Ohio Revised Code makes it a first-degree misdemeanor to knowingly file a false complaint of misconduct against a peace officer. Please remember, it is not only expensive to investigate false complaints, but it can also affect an officer's career. If evidence clearly indicates an individual has knowingly filed a false complaint against a peace officer, charges will be filed in accordance with ORC 2921.15 subsection B. Sir, you filed a complaint on Sergeant Van Dopp, who did an investigation on Sergeant White. The complaint against Sergeant White was that Sergeant White did not complete a thorough investigation. Is that correct?
Well, it was a violation of the SOPs. If you want to read my full complaint, go ahead, do that as you read what you're saying is the violation for following the complaint.
No,
Let's go ahead and read my actual complaint.
I don't need to do that.
I would like you to do that.
I'll read it
because
later.
I'd like to do it in my words and not a paraphrase of what you think I said.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'm sorry, you're Miss Hollis. You do this for a living?
Correct.
Okay, does that make
And
sense that my specific words that I
We
filed, my
already have all
specific...
that information.
Right.
So
We don't
what
need-
he's here to investigate is the complaint that you have with Sergeant Van Dock. So he's
Right.
just,
And what I'm saying is his paraphrase of my complaint is not accurate specifically to what I had said. So since we read the guidelines, let's go ahead and read what my actual complaint is.
Okay. Sir, I'm here to do a thorough investigation on a complaint that you filed against Sergeant Van Dahl.
Sure.
I'm trying to clarify that complaint was in reference to a complaint that he investigated on Sergeant White. Is that
Right.
correct?
It is.
Thank
Okay.
you. So, Sergeant Van Dahl completed an investigation. Did you get a copy of that investigation?
Well, let me show you what I get sent, which is another issue. So, this is the investigation that they mail to you. It says, Dear Mr. Lust, your complaint has been investigated. The commander of the involved employees has been reviewed the investigation and rendered the following findings. Sergeant White improperly investigated complaint number, disposition unfounded, and that is all you get from the police department.
But I know that you made public records requests.
I did, however, I got those after you filed the complaint, and the information that I received, which we can look at on the computer. You have it?
I don't need to look at the computer. Okay.
Well, let me also, I'll go back to part of my initial complaint, which is improper procedure. This is the letter I received from Joshua Van Donk.
Can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you not have a copy of this?
I do have a copy
Okay.
on file, but I
Sure.
want to know
Would
what
you like
you're
to read it?
referencing. No,
You
I
can
do
read
not
it.
need to read it.
Okay. Then why do you want it?
So that I know what you're talking about.
Okay, then I was going to
You're
read
showing
it
your
out loud.
fans, okay?
No, I'm not showing my fans. I'm documenting. I haven't told anyone that I was broadcasting this. This
Okay.
is just what I do for documentation purposes because of the
Okay.
issues.
Okay.
So let me.
no, let's
this
let's
is the
get
very
back
first
on-
part of the.
let's
you're
get back to
try-
the
you're-
original.
You're trying to make
Let's get back
statements.
to this complaint.
Okay. You're trying to do a presentation of your thesis on the Columbus Division of Police, your thesis on the complaint system. I'm taking your complaint very serious. However, when you started off, you said that you do a webcast of comedy and hijinks
On my website.
on your
I do.
website. We're on Facebook Live, and so I'm trying to be very serious regarding
Am
your
I making
complaint.
jokes, sir?
Well, I'm trying to stay on task.
Okay, and my first task would be the first letter that I received from Sergeant Van Dock. Do you know what date I filed my complaint with the Columbus Department of Police against Sergeant Van Dock? What date did you receive my complaint?
I don't know. So is that a complaint?
Well, it very well.
I have to investigate.
Sure.
So anything you say, I'm not a computer. I'm not Mr. Spock from Star Trek.
You have a copy of the
Okay.
complaint. It's in your folder. I can get on my computer and look it up, but you want to control
Why don't
the
we
interview.
get to the meat of your
This is
complaint
the
with
first
it?
part of the meat of the
So
investigation.
your complaint is you just get this letter, correct?
Well, let me reiterate the parts of the SOP that it applies to, but first you need to hear the letter. It says, your complaint has been received by the Division of Police and is currently under investigation. I have received your complaint and documentation that requested. I have to make this a short video because of the uploads.